Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Final Tackle podcast. And we have an absolute legend of AFL. He's an AFL life member, a Carlton life member, the 1995 grand final winner with Carlton, Anthony Koutoufides. Thank you very much for joining us here today. This episode is brought to you by our proud sponsor, Gold Coast Trading Cards. They are an authorized TLA trading card dealer, and they are the NRL collector's choice. From box breaks to individual cards, they sell thousands of them. Be sure to get all of your NRL trading card needs at Gold Coast Trading Cards.
No worries, CJ. Thank you, mate.
No, mate, it's the pleasure's all ours. So let's get started. Your junior days with Layla, what was it like growing up in such a, AFL-dominated sort of team/town?
Yeah, it really was growing up. I had migrant parents, but AFL or VFL back then was the most dominant sport. A lot of people always say to me, why didn't you play soccer? And I never really enjoyed the game of soccer. I just always loved that oval ball. My brother and I fell in love with it. He's a year older than me, Paul, and then our friends asked us to go down to a local footy club to try out, and so we did. We initially started at East Thomastown Football Club. It was the black and white, and hence the reason why I barracked for Collingwood growing up.
Oh, okay.
I know you, mad Collingwood supporter.
Yep.
And the Layla Footy Club came over to Mum and Dad's house and said, we'd love to have your boys at our football club. And we decided to go there. Layla was a really strong, powerful club that played in the highest division. Not that we sort of knew back then, but we knew friends that were there. And we went there. And I love Layla. And growing up at Layla Thomastown, it was a lot of migrants there, but just a young family. It was the outskirts of Melbourne, and just so many young, incredible sports people around that time, and a lot of my mates. And we just played so much sport. We're out and about in the house, out in the parks and schoolyards and doing all those things. So Layla Footy Club to me meant a lot. So I wasn't there a long time, because by the time I was age 16, the Carlton Football Club asked me to start playing in the under-19s there. So I had to make a decision at that time. It was a real tough one, but my brother was there and some of my other good mates were there also, which made it easier to make that decision. But Layla Footy Club, I still remember it now. Probably one of the happiest periods of my life, where life was just so free and, easy, and just riding our bikes to footy training, and just great times.
Yeah, nice. Like literally just not carefree, not contracted per se, just going to play footy with your mates on the weekends.
That's what it was. And we had so much fun and success, and just a wonderful club. Unfortunately, it's not like that now, Layla. They've really, dropped off because of the demographics now. But as at that time in a growth area, we were it was a very, it was our fortress, Layla Footy Club, and it was other clubs, when they came to play us, knew it was going to be a hard day.
Oh, wow, that's awesome. Then you ended up getting your debut for Carlton in 1992, round 13 against Adelaide. What was it like stepping onto the first class or first string AFL pitch and getting your first game?
It was a long struggle. I was 14 when I got the letter from the Carlton Football Club. I lived in the Carlton zone, and I played 2 years under 15 in their development squad. I made the Victorian team, and then I played the under-19s. I think I played 36 or 38 games there, made the All-Australian team in the Till Cup at centre-half back. And then that's when Carlton offered me a contract at the end of 1990. So I was contracted in 91, but I didn't play a game. I played majority reserve games. So all up, I played 50 reserve games. So 1992, I think I was emergency quite a few weeks, but never got picked until finally round 13. I was playing a full-back in the reserves then. I actually won the reserves best and fairest that year. And it wasn't easy. And eventually I did get picked, luckily. And it was just unbelievable feeling. I had a good mate, Ange Christou, that was already playing senior footy, so I was desperate to play. A lot of people were a bit unsure whether I was ever going to make it. And I had that opportunity. I remember I had so many phone calls when I got picked the day before. I was so nervous. We were playing Adelaide at Optus Oval, as it was known back then, and it was just an unbelievable day, and it panned out all right. I started on the bench, I came on and had a few touches, kicked a goal, and it was really exciting for me.
Oh, that's amazing. Honestly, that's amazing to hear. And then obviously 3 years later, you're in the big dance, 1995 grand final. What was it like during that final series, if you can take us back there down memory lane, and also in general, the game itself, what was it like? And do you remember much of it? Because players say, it's the fastest moment of your life is the grand final day. Can you remember much of it? And if you can you tell us about it?
Yeah, that I was very lucky. In '94, I got dropped halfway through the year, and I basically thought my career was over. I was going through a lot of emotions. I was a bit up and down, in and out of the team. There was no consistency, and then luckily I got picked on the wing 2 weeks later, and from that point onwards, I never looked back. I was in the best players, I think, almost every week. And yeah, then '95 came around, and we finished. We were on top of the ladder in '94 with 1 round to go. We lost to Essendon, so we finished second. But we went out in straight sets in '94 against Melbourne and Geelong. And then '95 came and everyone was saying that we were too old and too slow.
Huh.
We had a terrible pre-season, and but then the season came. We started winning games, and then we lost to the two bottom teams, Sydney and St Kilda.
It's always the way.
Shock. Yeah, that was a real shock to us because it was like, okay, what is happening here? Who knows? But from that point onwards, we turned it around, and we were just unbeatable. And we came together as a team. I remember the final series. We came up first week of the finals was Brisbane Bears back then, not Lions, and it was phenomenal in that second half of that season in '95. And so, three-quarter time, the game was in a balance. Harley had a kick. Chris Scott, the Geelong coach, current Geelong coach, was on me. And I barely had any touches. And then Parko said, "You're going to go to full forward." So I went there. And I think Stephen Kernan kicked the first goal. I kicked the next three. So I sort of blew them away a little. And we only ended up winning by 14 points. So that was our closest battle in that final series. We came up against Melbourne and absolutely thrashed them. They came in hard.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they flattened a few of our players like Peter Dean and Greg Williams, but, mate, the boys just got up. They were tough too, mate. Don't worry about that. And, we got to the grand final. The build-up was enormous. Geelong, I think, went into the game as favourites. I'm not sure how. And training was crazy, like 3,000 or 4,000 or 5,000 people there, you know, signing autographs. It was mayhem.
Wow.
Run out of the race in the spring weather of just, you know, Melbourne, when you can just smell finals footy in the air.
Yeah.
A little bit of sunshine at that time.
It's got goosebumps, hey?
Yeah, it was just perfect. And, you ran out there with the supporters going crazy as you ran out just for training. And I think everyone's intensity just increased a little with everyone there. And then, of course, the car parade around the city of Melbourne, the city that I love, the city that I grew up in. The city stops for us to be able to go through those streets of the city, and they look different in a car when everyone's just standing around there, just waving at you. It was just an incredible moment. And game day came. I remember I was really nervous because the night before everyone's ringing me, and I just needed to be alone. I had mates from the Lola Footy Club coming over and, you know, ringing the doorbell, and my parents were just like, "No, you got to go because you got to just leave them alone."
Yep.
And and then a grand final day, extremely nervous. Angel was always a character. He sort of calmed my nerves a little because he had to be a bit more like carefree before a game. I was a bit more like serious. I had to really think.
Okay.
And just his, you know, a few little laughs here and there that just eased the tension. Went out there halftime. When the siren went at halftime, Ange had the ball and Billy Brownless tackled him after the siren, threw him to the ground. Then I came in. There was a massive brawl. And, Barry Stoneham, who had a broken leg, he was on crutches. I think somehow he made his way in that melee, into that brawl there. And it was just crazy. We went in halftime with a commanding lead. But still, I wasn't convinced that, you know, we had the game, and because we still had a half. And I remember a couple of years before that watching the Essendon Adelaide prelim final when Adelaide were dominating, and then Essendon came in that second half and killed them. So, halfway through that last quarter, I remember standing on the MCG in front of 90,000 people, and I looked around, all 80-odd points ahead, and I just went, okay, I can finally say now I'm about to be a premiership player for the Carlton Football Club. It was never a dream. A dream was to play AFL. I never imagined of playing off and being a premiership player. And there I was at the age of 22, a premiership player for what I think was the greatest club ever. Back then, I know they haven't been successful for a long time, but back then we were the most powerful club and envy of the competition. And
well, in the 90s, you guys were dominant, you know, regardless of only winning one, you were in 2, I think, or maybe 3 grand finals in the 90s. Yep. You were there in the finals, as you said. It just goes to show that you guys were quite a dominant team in the 90s.
Yeah, we win 3 grand finals. 93, we lost to Essendon. 95, we won. Then 99, we luckily got there. We shouldn't have, really, but we got there against North Melbourne, who I feel like now they were beatable, but they deserved it because they were a very disciplined team and been so good for so long. So they definitely deserved it, not to say that we were better. But they were beatable, and I'd probably say, you know, if Essendon were playing against them, Essendon would have won because I think they were the better team of that year.
Yeah, absolutely agree with that statement as well. That's awesome. Thank you for talking about the finals run in '95, and then in '99 you went through a quarter in the prelim final against Essendon. Speaking of, you made 10 kicks, 6 marks, 4 clearances, 3 rebounds, and 2 goals. In which Stephen Kernahan quoted the greatest quarter ever played. Can you remember that game in particular?
Of course, I remember it. I'll never ever forget it. I think all the Carlton supporters would, apart from all the premierships, that game would probably go down as one of the greatest, if not greatest, games of all time. Unbelievable day. Essendon were the unbeatables. I remember driving to the ground, and Essendon supporters, basically the news reports were that they were waiting in line for their grand final tickets. They thrashed us twice throughout that year, once by over 40 points, and the second time we played them, they beat us by 70-something points. So we should not have won.
No.
And, I don't know. We played really good against West Coast the week before. We just tweaked our game plan a little. We came into the game with confidence. We had nothing to lose. Essendon had everything to lose. John Elliott was the greatest president at that Carlton Football Club by far. And I remember his words before the game. He said, "Kouta, I've got a funny feeling about today." And that lifted me. They were the words that I needed to go, maybe he knows something I don't know. I don't know whether that was the thing that triggered all the other players too, because the board were just fantastic in walking in and just giving us confidence. And we went in the game at halftime that we were like commanding lead. I'm walking off thinking, we might be in a grand final next week, but Essendon turned it on the way they should have played. All were capable of playing for the 4 quarters. They kicked 7 goals, 7 in that third quarter, and then they were ahead of us. Now, I started in the back pocket, and I was there pretty much all day. I felt good, though. Like, I could read the ball. I was marking well, off the packs. And at three-quarter time going into the huddle, I was just like looking up going, please just put me in the middle. Please put me in the middle. I was waiting. I don't know if the coaches felt the energy on me. I'm not sure, but I didn't get the call at that stage. So I started the last quarter back pocket again. But 2 or 3 minutes in, I seen the runner running over, and I thought, he's going to say, "Kouta, you're in the middle." And I knew it. And he did. And I remember Murphy, about a minute or two later, Justin Murphy had the ball in the half-forward flank. And I was on the other side of the ground, and I was just like, just hold the ball. Don't kick it. Wait. And I'm running. He would have seen me. And he bombed it down. And I took that big mark to kick our goal. And we just started motoring. And what a battle it was. Mark McCurry had that ball at the end of the game. He would have kicked that 99.9 times out of 100. And on this day, he just missed it. He was an incredible player, Merckx. Unbelievable player. Always a threat to us. And then, of course, Fraser Brown laid down, probably the greatest tackle of all time that all the Carlton supporters will remember on Dean Wallace. And that was enough, for Justin Murphy to get the ball onto Ratton and back onto Murphy. And that was it. The siren went. And what a day it was. Essendon supporters crying. Carlton supporters just could not believe it. And
crying, but for a good reason.
Yeah, exactly.
This episode is made possible by one of our sponsors, Drum Clothing. They are a clothing store company based in Woy Woy, New South Wales, Australia. But guess what? They ship Australia-wide. They have a great range of winter clothing with their current winter drop happening at the moment. So be sure to go through Drum. Tell them CJ sent you from the Final Tackle podcast. Also, we have discount codes dropping soon, so be sure to keep an eye out on our Facebook and Instagram for that. No, that's absolutely amazing to hear. Some of your accolades include getting the AFLPA MVP, also known as the Lee Matthews Trophy, which you're chosen by the players as the MVP of that season in 2000. You're also Carlton captain 04 through to 06. As I said, AFL and Carlton life member, and also Hall of Fame inductee in 2014. What was it like getting inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2014?
After walking in that football club at the age of 14 and leaving at 34, I never had that opportunity to get back in there. And my time in the AFL was pretty much done and dusted. Not sure why. I tried to get into the AFL and help out maybe the talent coming through the ranks or, doing something at Carlton Football Club, but it wasn't to be. So all the doors were closed. And so to get that letter from the AFL, they basically sealed, closed. That was the day I closed the locker and it was all over for me. It was just, gratitude from head to toe to think that, in my career, the way that it started so slow and unsure in 3.5 years to really cement myself as a senior player, to get that letter I was just over the moon. I couldn't believe it. The Hall of Fame was nothing. It was something I never even dreamt of. And if you had asked me 91, 92, 93, 94 that you were going to make the AFL Hall of Fame, I would have said, mate, you are dreaming. So that was a really nice thing to get there. Took my family on that day, my close mates as well. And it was just a memorable moment. And what an honour for me to say that. There's a lot of Carlton greats that haven't been inducted or may have been older than me and got inducted later than me. That was just an honour to think that only, 6 or 7 years after retiring, I got inducted into the AFL Hall of Fame. That's a very special moment for me and the family.
Oh, absolutely. And speaking of post-playing moments, you've had quite, the star-studded you could say life after, because you're on Dancing with the Stars and Gladiators. What was it like on both of those shows, and what could you say you've taken out of both of those shows in life?
My mum's favourite show was Dancing with the Stars. So when I told her that I'd been asked to go on the show, she said, "You're going to do it." And so I said, "All right, Mum."
There was no option. You have to do it.
Yeah, I had to do it. And she wanted to see me dance. So that was a great experience. I never knew how to dance, but always at the back of my mind thought it'd be really nice to know how to dance. So I had that opportunity to do it there. I'm live in front of...
You were learning live.
I know, in front of 2 million viewers, but really out of my comfort zone, and didn't know anything about dancing really, and had a great dancing partner. I started as... I remember the odds on day one, and they had... I was down the bottom, least favourite to win. And believe it or not, I went all the way through and I actually won it.
Yep.
Somehow. And I danced with some greats and met some really wonderful friends, and it was just a real good life experience. And some people may not remember me as a footballer, but some people just love that show, Dancing with the Stars, and remember me for that. So
yep.
I'm glad I did it. And then, of course, Gladiators come about after my career ended. And I always loved that show when it first released back.
In the 90s or 80s. Yeah.
And I thought, why not? So there was a couple of celebrities, and
Kouta, the Greek god.
Yeah, Kouta, the Greek god, and it was a great experience, mate. Time away from the family, but some phenomenal athletes, some incredible physiques of the Gladiators, and of course we took on the challenges. That was fun. That was really, really good. I'm glad I did it, and you learn so much through everything you do, whether good or bad. But they were just both wonderful experiences for me.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mentioned to you before we started recording, I was at one of the tapings of the show. I can't remember exactly what day or what week it was, but yeah, my dad got me and my sister tickets. We went and watched it, and mate, I still have the little wristband to that, because it was such a great day, and seeing how those shows really come together. Obviously you get 45 minutes ish of TV show, but it's like a 4 hour to 6 hour day. It's insane, but it was so fun. And I honestly only went to go and see you because AFL and Anthony Koutoufides. So it was great to see. What are you doing with yourself these days?
Yeah, I've been doing Herbalife Nutrition now for over 10 years. I guess after football, I was a little bit of a lost person or soul. And I got really unwell health-wise too in 2010. And a friend of mine had been doing Herbalife for a long time and introduced me to the products. I was a skeptic. Products changed my life. Phenomenal. And so I fell in love with them. And then I thought, I'm going to start this business part-time, as I was working for a car finance company, which I was really not very happy, there. It wasn't something I could foresee myself doing for the rest of my life. And so when I seen this opportunity, I thought, wow, lifestyle, working from home, I'll get to spend time with the kids, and health and nutrition, help people get healthy and happy. I thought I'll go for it. And that's what I did. And so I started part-time to eventually building up to a full-time business, and I've loved it. I've traveled to so many places. Of course, we can't travel now, but at least I can say I've traveled so much throughout that time. Also met some wonderful people, some great leadership, some great, incredible, successful people that I'm still striving to improve and get better every day. And I think that's important too, because as a footballer, we always did that. And I think I don't want my life not to always look to improve and get better. I don't want to be stagnant in life. I want to continue to do that. So I do that now, and absolutely love what I do.
Oh, that's awesome to hear. Also, you just mentioned in that bit about working from home. Well, everyone is stuck working from home in New South Wales because another lockdown. How did you handle lockdown? Well, all of the lockdowns last year in Melbourne, just personally and also work-wise and everything in general?
It was a shock to the system. I think we all suffered in some sort of way. Never thought we'd ever be in this sort of position. It's a strange old time, crazy times, different world, as we all know it from previous I was just more like, thinking of the kids and the people with their businesses, just, things like that. For me, I approached it like every day as if I was going to go to work. I still got up early and did my morning routine. I got myself ready as if I was going to work, and I just did that every single day. So I made sure I didn't get in any bad habits. Like some people I know will go, well, we're at home, we just start drinking, but that can propel, out of proportion. And so I just stuck to a routine, and that worked. And, I still smashed my nutrition. I was still in shape. I wasn't obviously training as much, but I'd get my daily walks out there, and made sure that the kids did that as well. There was homeschooling. My wife took care of that. I took care of the business, and the business really propelled because everyone wanted to get healthy. And, I was getting hit up by everyone through social media and, helping whether they want to lose weight, maintain weight, just general health and wellbeing, clarity. All that is what we provide in community groups. And so you start to hang around positive communities. Even that for your mindset alone can help you improve too. And so those days you don't feel like doing it or, persisting or giving up, and the encouragement of the rest of the guys to just be able to help motivate you, it would be enough for people to just continue on. And so, look, it was a different period. It was a great, it was a good period for myself in terms of that, but there was a lot of things that I know, like we all suffered in some sort of way. I'm not going to sit here and go, oh, mate, it was so brilliant. It was tough. But for me, it worked out really well, thankfully.
No, absolutely. And just touching on a bit more, touching back on your time in the AFL real quick, who was the biggest pest of a teammate?
Oh, Ange Christou. Ange was an absolute pest, mate. And my best mate there at that footy club, there was times, I'll tell you what, times when I needed to be away from him as well. But he was a great man, but very irritating at times.
No, that's fair. And what team or individual player was the toughest opponent to go up against?
Oh, Matty Richardson for me, the Richmond great. Great guy, Matty. I just felt like his athleticism was even better than mine, although they said I was a great athlete. I mean, I went to his day, mate. He never came to me in the midfield or never came to me in the forward line where he had to defend me. But in terms of speed and endurance and strength and size, Richo had it all. Yeah. I think because I was so athletic, I just played on people one-on-one, whereas others may have played in front of him and, worked the lines. But, playing one-on-one on him was very hard. And I think he just ran me ragged. Other than Richmond open up the forward line, wouldn't happen nowadays, but just open up the forward line. I had no support, and he was too good. So the two times that I played him, I felt like, wow, every time the ball was going to come in, that he was going to get it. So I played on a lot of greats, and there's so many great footballers that I learned from also. But in terms of, like beating someone, Richo was my toughest.
No, that's fair. And growing up as a Collingwood fan as a kid, what was it like when the first time you took on Collingwood in the AFL?
It was funny. All my idols, 1992 was round 21. So I remember that day. And all the players that I used to love and admire were there. And, initially, like, of course, it's Carlton versus Collingwood. So you go there, to win.
Big rivalry.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. Like the phone calls, I got people wanted tickets. And it was just the biggest week in the AFL calendar back then because of the rivalries. It was really strong still then. It's not as, I guess, powerful now, but if they both get back to the top, mate, I'm sure we're going to see it again because the dislike for each other's club, and of course we can include Essendon into that as well.
Yeah, of course we can.
Yeah, but, after that game, I remember all my mates, because we lost to Collingwood, they were giving it to all my Collingwood mates, like, oh, you guys are no good or whatever. From that point onwards, I just fell off the Collingwood bandwagon, and they're probably my most disliked team. So I've gone from barracking for them. And in saying that, CJ, in all honesty, because I stir it up a little because my son and I do tips or whatever, I have total respect for the Collingwood Football Club. The black and white, I don't like putting it on because it gives me that feeling when I was young and I used to love them. So I've got to avoid that if I want to keep that. You know what I mean?
Who does your son follow?
Hey, yeah, that's right.
Does your son follow Carlton or Collingwood?
So my son, he's Carlton. He's a Carlton. Not allowed Collingwood, mate. I think my oldest boy, Jamie, both for Collingwood for about 3 months. He wanted a Collingwood jersey and all that. My mum came over and she was not going to stand for it. And that was it after that. So.
No, that's fair. Looking back on your career, you've had, honestly, accolades after accolades as we've gone through. Which one is the highest accolade for you personally?
In terms of, like, if I had to choose everything, that premiership would be, that is it. I mean, that's a team thing. In terms of individual, and the Hall of Fame, I think, to close off my career was special. And then, of course, the MVP award, because the MVP, the Most Valuable Player award in year 2000, came after my father passed away in 98, and I struggled with my form. And, I didn't want to train, but I got to a point where I was playing that bad that I had to make a decision, and I did it. And I promised my father upstairs, I said, mate, I'm going to train harder than I ever did before, Dad. I'm going to do this for you. And so I did. And so on 99 unfolded with an unbelievable year at centre back. Well, I pretty much beat everyone. Maybe only Richo was the only one that I didn't beat, and had little, times in the midfield as well. My 99 season, I think I finished second in the Carlton best and fairest, but I missed the last 5 weeks because of an injury. So it could have been another BNF.
It was almost a Brownlow that year, wasn't it?
That was 2000.
Oh, that was 2000.
So I got 99. I missed the last 5 because of a stretched capsule on my left knee. Then 2000, I won the Most Valuable Player award. I finished third in our club best and fairest. So I could have won another one there, but because I missed the last few rounds and the 2 finals games also because of my knee injury, that didn't help. And 2001, I won the best and fairest at the club. So I had some great years, and then I did my ACL in that second week of the final against Richmond. Yeah. So I just had a bad run at the peak.
Was that against Matt Richo?
Yeah, that was against Richmond. Yeah, whereas they were, we were just starting a motor, and anyway, I did my knee, and we lost that game, and that was it.
No, that's fair. And obviously Carlton haven't had the best of seasons this year. They've done all right, but not as good as they could. What would be your thoughts, or what would you say to the Carlton players if you could talk to them now at this point in the season?
It's hard for me to talk to players. I think, Teague, like he's been under scrutiny, but I think he needs to go. I think we just need to let him go. He needs to surround himself with some maybe other coaches that may assist him. And if you can formulate a good coaching panel around him, I'm sure he's going to do well, because he's very liked, in my opinion, Teague. So in terms of the player, I don't think they're far away. I know they're getting, the media and some of the ex-players get into them. I just feel like, I've watched teams before, and the first one I remember was Brisbane Lions back in 2001. Like, we played against them at Princes Park, and it was round 7. We destroyed them. We beat them by 60-something points. The next week, they just lost to Adelaide. Then from then onwards, they never lost a game and went on to win 3 premierships after that. So I feel like Carlton, they're in all the time. They just lapse in little periods of the game. I don't know if it's their belief or they don't know how to win. But I just feel like a little bit of a switch, and they could really start to put together a lot of wins, and then anything's possible after that. So I don't think they're too far away. I'm pretty comfortable. Yes, they need to maybe, improve the list a little. There's no doubt about it. But who knows? It can quickly turn around.
Oh, absolutely. Like, look at Richmond up until 2015, and then what they've done in the last 6 years. And
Geelong were the same with Bomber Thompson. There was 3 scenarios that I spoke in the media not long ago and said, you've got to give Teague a go. Like, just let him go.
No, absolutely. I agree. Mate, I want to thank you so very much for coming on. And at the end of the season, would you be up for coming on again for maybe an end of season review of Carlton?
That should be all right, CJ. Yeah, I'm not one of those fanatical people that sit there and check the form guide. So I'm sure you can find someone better if you want to analyse the boys.
No, it's all good. We won't analyse the boys. We'll just go like as a season as a whole.
Yeah, no worries, mate.
No worries, mate. Thank you so much. And again, thank you so much for joining me today, mate. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you, CJ. Thanks, mate.